Today in the crypto space, we're seeing a bit of red. Bitcoin right around $113,500, down approximately 2.5%. Ethereum right around that $4,000 mark at critical levels, down approximately 4.5%. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, some of them coming down. We got Cardano taking a dip, Arbitrum, Algorand, Aptos, Polygon, and many others currently looking for lower levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, guys, I want to still focus on the large caps, and today is all about SUI. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish, bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here, because I can sense the urgency to buy the dip. However, guys, we got to be a bit patient here, because the market does want to play a bit of games right before we do get that recovery. As of now, as you can see, the total market cap is below the $4 trillion mark. Not a good look throughout this space. And because Bitcoin is falling, large cap, obviously the biggest crypto out there, down approximately 2.6% in the last 24 hours. And then, of course, the second largest, Ethereum, down approximately 4.6% to the downside. The question is, how much of that capital sold off, and how did that impact the market cap? As you can see, we fell below the $4 trillion mark. And what's more important here for me is the impulse of trading volume in the last little while. As you can see, we came down, the total market cap did come down for another dip, and then all of a sudden market participation entered and we got a bit of a sell-off. So obviously right now, guys, as you know, it's been a while since, I've been a little bit bearish, in the sense that I'm like preparing for those dips. The bullish sentiment is definitely still there. We just have to put it on hold temporarily while we see this resolve. We got to let the bears respond. When the bears respond, guess what we do? We collect data. We are able to see how much strength the bears still have left in them for this cycle. And I'm telling you this, even this dip is not even the strongest, to be honest. I don't even see that strength that I usually see in dips. But nonetheless, guys, we're going to have to let them finish their turn, let them respond, right? And in the meantime, we will be defensive. We'll be very defensive at this current moment, guys. We need to be super defensive, not only on our portfolios, but on any positions that you decide to get into. Guys, make sure that you're in a defensive strategy, meaning you have your risk to reward ratio on point. You got to make sure those entries are on point, the risk management is there and all that, because in the meantime, guys, to be honest, for me right now, I'm not getting into any fresh longs. I'm patiently waiting for this dip to be done and over with, and then I'm going to be happy to go shopping with my shopping list. In fact, the most important thing at the current moment for me is to ensure I have a shopping list. All right, guys, don't forget, join me live tonight, 8 p.m. EST. We'll talk about different projects, all those projects, and the way we should be building portfolios and the projects that maybe we should be allocating in our portfolios. And I'm going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST. It is a great time for you guys to request any projects that you want me to talk about, so feel free to join. Let's scrape through the top 100, and then we will talk about SUI. Of course, today's video is about SUI, no doubt, but I definitely want to talk about the general market so we can get an understanding of where we're at in general. And then I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, guys. If Bitcoin continues showing this froth and negativity, guys, anticipate continuations to the downside, even with SUI. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. As you can see, Bitcoin's still in a retracement. So is Ethereum. We already discussed that. XRP is still doing the same thing. Solana dipping. Let it dip. Let it dip. It's going to be right now. It's in a falling channel, falling wedge type of scenario. Yeah, it's only down 3.1%. It's not a big dip. 5.5% in the last 7 days. Not a big deal, right? It's not a big deal, guys. We've seen much. This is a baby dip. We eat dips for breakfast here. It's not a big deal. It's only 5% in the last 7 days. However, guys, this is what I'm saying. It's only 5%. Are you going to be buying every little dip? Every little baby dip, you're going to run out of capital. I think that the market might be able to give us a bit better of an opportunity in the immediate short term. Okay, so just hang on there, and if at the end of the day you feel the FOMO that you want to accumulate, just do it slowly, steadily, and just ensure that you reserve some capital for better opportunities, because a double-digit dip is what I look for. Cardano almost there. It's down approximately 6.5% today. It finally broke its structure, guys. I've been seeing Cardano hold that structure very nicely for so long. And we talked about that yesterday, that Cardano was neutralizing all that negativity. However, today showed us that Bitcoin's strength, like I've said, Bitcoin has the strength, and now Ethereum, because Ethereum, we got to throw it in the mix. Ethereum now with this altcoin season narrative, Ethereum has some power. When we see Bitcoin and Ethereum slowing down and reversing and dipping down, the fear, guys, the fear causes risk on assets, lower market cap project, such as Cardano, to break any horizontal structures that it may have. And as you can see, Cardano did that, and is currently falling through a volume gap. Guys, check out my TA from yesterday. I did address this scenario, the fact that it could break down here, given the negativity in the market, and we are currently getting through an imbalance in the chart and potentially looking for a nice horizontal level of support to buy the dip. And the same thing goes with Chainlink. The only difference is that Chainlink has been on a tear for a great while here. And of course, because of that, there's imbalances, and there's people with profits, and there's people that are going to get defensive. So 6% to the downside at the end of the day after a nice rally up is not a big deal still. However, guys, I feel like we need to prepare. Look at the rest of these fractals, right? Including SUI. Guys, we're going to talk about SUI in a second, including SUI. Look at Hyperliquid. Look at all of these guys. There's a lot of wrapped ETH and Bitcoin, things like that here, obviously. But you can see there are, look at HBAR, AVAX, and many others, Litecoin, and we got Sheeb rolling over and keep on dipping, Uniswap dipping. We have some random other projects, of course, that are doing. Monero got a bit of relief, rounded top right now, not looking the greatest. Could Monero withstand the wrath of Bitcoin and ETH dipping? That's a hard thing to do, guys. It is very hard. But Cardano tried its best, it couldn't handle it. Solana gave up earlier on. It started retracing right away. As soon as Ethereum started looking weak, Solana started dipping as well. So this is the thing here, guys. Like, it doesn't matter which project you are, no matter how fundamentals are, no matter how bullish you are, these projects cannot hold up against the negativity that Bitcoin, and especially now with Ethereum involved, it can't hold up against those two heavyweights. The fear will get real, total market cap will drop, and then our job is to have not only the watch list, but to have a point of interest on all those assets as to where we want to deploy. Okay, so Athena also dipping. We got Tau getting into a fire sale, double-digit dips. Look at these guys. Last 7 days, there's a couple here. Athena, 22%. Guys, you remember what Athena did a couple weeks ago? You remember. Now it's down 22%. So we got to really understand these are opportunities. BitTensor, Tau, 10%. We got Near Protocol, another 10%. Near Protocol didn't really run yet. So you're getting a good opportunity, in my opinion, to accumulate within range. So you're fine without, it didn't expand yet. It didn't break its structure. It didn't do anything. It didn't run for the moon yet. So just understand that you're getting in early. Aptos, fairly similar objective. Ondo, same thing, double-digit dips, as you can see. If you're into ICP, look what it's going on here. OKB's on fire still, after the burn and all of that kind of stuff right now. It's still grinding to the upside. I can imagine this dumping down perhaps, but tokenomics change, so maybe not. We'll see what happens there. It's nothing interesting for me there. I think the run has already done regardless, and I'm not willing to take that risk. Cashbus coming down, guys. Those Caspians, I understand how ruthless they are and powerful they are, but, true value, at the end of the day, fair value needs to be achieved throughout the market. It's not just cash, but it's all of them, right? Matic dipping down and lots of dips, guys. As you can see, look at all these fractals. They're all the same. Say, Render, Look at them. They're all the same. Every single one. Some of them double digits, some of them not. Renders down double digits, as you can see. I like the double digits, especially around 20%. For me, that's a perfect retracement. When we get down 20%, I'm interested. We're almost there on some of them. Sky, what's up with that one? Dipping down hard after a great run to the upside. I'm sure a lot of people made some gains, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be round tripping that one. Injective coming down. We got a lot of Celestia still bleeding, but it's still within that structure that's getting me super bullish because those falling wedges, and as the hesitation comes in, this could be the last opportunity to deploy in some of these great projects such as Celestia and many others. All right, guys, let's get into some of these charts. I know you're here to talk about Bitcoin, so let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin once again as a leading indicator, because I have a question for you. What do you think is going to happen when Bitcoin hits its bearish price target of about 110,000? Guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. At the end of the day, guys, I got to be real with you. That's the truth. Like, it doesn't matter how bullish I am. It has nothing to do with me. It's about what the charts show us and about the plans we have, to capitalize on all the volatility, right? We can be super bullish. We can be perma bulls. But at the end of the day, the market has its own agenda. And it's up to us, if you want to be a trader, to really prepare for all that, volatility, the peaks and the valleys, the ebbs and the flows that the market has in store for us. And at the current moment, I was very clear about this, guys. And you guys know that I started getting hesitant right around this impulse. This is where I started shifting my sentiment and my bullish sentiment into the short mentality. If you're going to start shorting this market, get into those shorts, no doubt. But the reality is this froth that was represented here on this chart couldn't get me bullish again. There's no way that I would be getting bullish on Bitcoin, Ethereum, especially Ethereum getting into a very toppy structure. No more bottom levels. Risk to reward ratio was out the window for Ethereum because it did so well. Bitcoin has been long gone. And now we're looking for altcoins. At the end of the day, guys, this might be the last dips for us to accumulate into the larger caps based on money flow theory. Okay, because Bitcoin is done well. Ethereum is almost in price discovery. The next wave of capital that flows, it's going to be larger caps. So we're in that transitionary phase from Ethereum season to large cap season. And that's why a lot of people, and that's why I'm focusing on large caps. And you noticed the videos in the last little while, it's all about the large caps. So today, SUI, we'll talk about SUI. But again, what happens to the SUI price, Cardano price, AVAX price, all the prices when we see Bitcoin come down? Guys, fear. It's all about fear. It's all about emotion. It's all about signal, about selling off on all your gains because you don't want to lose them. And, with all respect, that's what you should be doing as a trader. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're in some gains, guys, have a plan to take profit. If we get any sign of a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin, we will get a relief throughout the market, maybe get rejected right here. That's your time to scale out a little bit more, right? Because that will be confirmed resistance at that level, maybe come down for another lower low, and then we come down to about 110,000. That's where I'm focusing on Bitcoin's target. And you can see the volume gap is quite clear, right? That's where we have that imbalance. That's where we have the opportunity. And that is where we can potentially see altcoins dump even further. And again, the true degen in us is going to be looking for opportunities to scale in and DCA and all that good stuff. In the meantime, those 5% dips are not enough for me. Right? We're almost there. I believe that once we see Bitcoin get to this zone right here and hunt some of this liquidity at this area, we will definitely start seeing, obviously, Bitcoin hesitate and form structure. And then from there, we will start saying, okay, I want to allocate some capital into some, smaller cap altcoins. Right? Because ultimately that's what we should be doing, getting risk on, given all the signals that we've been given, altcoin season, Bitcoin dominance falling, and as such. Obviously, guys, tonight we will be covering a lot of this theory and a lot of the plans that we should be taking in the next little while. So feel free to join. So that's that. Bitcoin still looking bearish. If it breaks this low at about 111,000, 112,000, guys, it's a confirmed lower low. Just understand the trend is now confirmed a change of character. Unfortunate, but true. We can even get a dead cat bounce right into here and still make that lower low afterwards, right? That's unfortunate, but true. All right, let's move on. There's no sense of any market structure so clear. You can see momentum still in a downtrend. Purple line stemming from here, diverging higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum. Volatility is almost completely oversold. It's got a little bit more work to do, and at the end of the day, might hesitate in oversold condition as it has done in the past, has done in the past, as you can see. So in the meantime, we know that the bears are not done. We know we have a Class A bearish divergence right here. EMA is facing down, red histogram bars, and attempting to get back into the bearish control zone below the zero mark. Horrible. Okay, let's just put it that way. That's not what we want. However, we do want that so that we can buy the dips, right? That's the truth. We don't want that for a portfolio, but we do want that for an opportunity. Okay, so that's that. Let's jump right into the SUI chart. Let's see what's going on with SUI. SUI is actually an interesting chart. Why? Because it hasn't really done much. It's been consolidating within this range for so long. And I have some dotted lines because it's hypothetical, right? There's no real major structure right here on these tops just yet. Like I put dotted lines just to give me a visual, right? We could just kind of like do one of these, right? That's possible. You know, get some tops, maybe come down here, come up. This is going to be an ascending triangle. You know, as we get closer to the apex, maybe right around here, leading into September, something like that. I don't know, maybe mid-September, whatever, we start breaking out. Right? Usually it's about 70% towards the apex of the triangular formation is where we start breaking out. But in the meantime, we have to understand a couple of things. Number one, we are leaving, or we have left the top of the range, right? We have left the top of the range. We have many indications of good support, higher lows. That's amazing, guys. We timed this beautifully. You got to admit, we got into this structure right here, and bang. Now all of a sudden we're back. You know, we're back. We're in this. We're consolidating. Now the bigger question is this. You know, what happens with trendline liquidity? There are some good indications. Okay, let me clean this up just a little bit, because this is no longer valid or necessary. Neither is this, neither is this, and neither is that. Every so often I like cleaning up because, you know, housekeeping here on these charts are important, or else it just looks like finger painting. And I'm already messy as it is. So, you know, ultimately, if we stay within this range, you know, we could definitely start coming down and respect the range, respect the formation, the structure once again. The problem is that when there's a trend line like that has been respected for too much, it gets me nervous because I know that's a perfect opportunity for max pain. It's a perfect opportunity for manipulation. A lot of people are going to be looking at this trend line and putting stop losses underneath the trend line and anticipating that that was the best way to get into a trade. And I understand that because that's a very early way of learning how to trade, is putting a trend line, and if it breaks the trend line, get out because it invalidated the trend and it's a break a trend. Guys, break a trend is not that important because we get those sweeps all the time. You know, those sweeps, and the trend is still very valid, even if we break trend, because we're still making a higher low, even if we come down here. It's still higher than this one. So this is the problem with, you know, trend line, using trend lines, is that it's not a good indication of the trend in general, because the trend is defined not by a line. The trend is defined by higher highs and higher lows. That's the trend, right? And anything in between are ranges. So at this point, we got to admit, slightly higher high. It's not the greatest for SUI. It's slight. This is called a consolidation. We consolidate within a range, tighten up significantly, and then expand after the pressure gets built, right? The question is that do we come down here, hunt a bit of trendline liquidity, look up for horizontal scenarios? You can see that this volume gap is very, very emotional, guys. I'm gonna be scooching this over in a second right here, so that we can basically highlight the importance of this imbalance right here. We can come down through the imbalance a little bit. We don't even have to come down to make a lower low. We'll break the trend line. Trend line liquidity will get hunted. You know, a lot of people will get wrecked, unfortunately. And then what happens, guys? We bounce, back test, and spring. Right? We bounce, get back above, back test, and spring. And then all of a sudden, we're back to range highs after sweeping all this trend line liquidity. Savage. Right? Savage, absolute savage. So that happens. Another thing, guys, to be honest, we can even come all the way down here and still remain bullish. Why? Because this is the bottom. This is a low. We can definitely start coming down here and still make a higher low right into here and then eventually break above. That is all possible. But I don't think that's going to happen. However, guys, we have to have that idea of possibility, right? So what I'm saying is this. And if you look at my analysis here, my previous analysis is still so valid, super valid. Why? Because the imbalance didn't get filled, right? There's still negativity there. There's still opportunity for price to fall through the volume gap. So what we really have to do is understand that if we get back to the green arrow, is still very valid level of support, especially if we see the price hesitate there. We drop to the 1 hour or the 4 hour and look for a market structure shift, a change of character of the trend on the 1 hour, and we get into an entry because it could be a decent level. Even on the 4 hour, a bit of a dip here. We look for something like this. You can see how this looks. Nice V recovery, back test, confirmation, higher low, break of the previous highs, bang, uptrend, change of character. Beautiful. This is what we need to see down here. And again, we could get that sweep and then do this. The sweeps are crazy market manipulation. Okay, so just understand that. Overall, guys, SUI, as you can see, the chart is very mature. Okay, it's not, you're not buying bottoms. This is something that I gotta be real with you guys. You're not buying down here. This is where the early days of SUI, guys. If you've been following me, guys, I've been, talking about SUI and accumulating SUI all the way down here. You're not buying early. You're not buying, buying a fair value. You're buying a fair value, which means that it's not undervalued and it's not overvalued. It's fair. Now, I even have fair value with a large market cap, assuming that we get that capital rotation into the large caps very soon. Where do you think SUI is going to go? I think SUI is going to expand for an extension. Now, what does that look like? Swing high to swing low. We're looking at 1.27, a 1.618 extension right around $8. That's a fair game. Right? And then once we get there, expect some consolidation, maybe a bit of a retracement. And then from there, we get another structure. And then based on that structure, we make decisions once again for a continuation or for a major retracement. Either way, guys, as you can see, what's really happening here at this level is pressure being boiled up in preparation for an expansion out of the range and then a tackle of the previous high. Just to note, the previous high, there's not a lot of volume. It's very psychological level, no doubt, but there's not a lot of volume. So once we break out with the pressure, it's very likely that we're going to price discovery after that. And if we hesitate and get rejected right around the 1.27 extension, that's not a good look. That would be a swing failure, so keep an eye on that. But usually, guys, based on sentiment of where we are in this market, 1.618 is very possible. However, your risk to reward has to include the fact that it needs to get to this extension level. And it is, mind you, in price discovery. Okay, why do I say this? Why is it important to consider this your target? Because if your target is anywhere else, even if it's at previous high, your risk to reward ratio is not good. Let me show you what I mean, guys. This is super important. I know a lot of traders, overstep or maybe overlook this idea, but it's very necessary. Let's hypothetically put it right here. That's your target. Beautiful. And then this is your entry. And then where do you put your stop loss? The reality is your invalidation should be all the way down here, right? Because look, this could be hunted. Right? And if it breaks below this bottom, forget about it. It's done, right? We're coming down for a lower low, and it is really bad for but look at the risk to reward ratio. It's not the greatest. It's 2-to-1. And you have to understand, we got a great, target. Like, it's very ambitious. Now, what about if we made this target right here, previous highs, before the breakout? Guys, risk to reward is absolutely trash. It's not doable. Right? Even if you wanted to DCA and said, okay, Mike, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a little bit here and drag my average cost down little by little until we reach right around here. And that's that. Still, okay, it improved it significantly. It's at 2.6 to 1 ratio, which is not bad. But imagine if we were able to hold it through an extension, right? Then that's what we're talking about. It's much, much better. And if you can DCA your entry all the way down, maybe be a little bit more patient, because I feel like we could come down for another break and a break below this bottom and make another lower low. If you go on lower time frames, you'll see what I mean. It could be a scenario where you can get your average entry right through this imbalance where my previous green arrows were, and give yourself a second opportunity. And again, it's all about what Bitcoin and Ethereum does. If Bitcoin and Ethereum shows us too much strength and brings too much fear to the market, guys, we could come down much more than we could ever expect and have some pain. Okay, but at the current moment, guys, it's all about DCAing within that imbalance. In my opinion, the imbalance is the opportunity. Now, if we just go on the 6 hour, I just want to show you what's really happening here, guys. If we break below this bottom, expect it to come down to the trend line and get to that point of interest that I'm talking about. I classify these arrows as points of interest because it's not where you're going to just go blindly and buy in DCA. It's a point of interest because you want to go and see how the market reacts there. If you're going to blindly DCA at the point of interest, make sure they're small positions. And then as you get the market structure that gives you the data, and then you can make better confluence and you make better decisions, and then you can increase your position size as you see fit. But at the current moment, guys, it does seem like we're still on the downtrend. We might break this bottom and then come down for the lower low, and then that would classify as a retracement into support zones, and we got to wait for those points of interest to give us the info. All right, guys, so ultimately, guys, SUI, and it's not just SUI, the rest of the market right now is looking a little slumpy, and a lot of these larger caps have left the bottoms already, but they're looking for their breakouts the same way Ethereum is looking for its breakout. So these dips, in my opinion, should be bought. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.